Have you ever found yourself in a clutch situation, trying to focus in for the win, but all you can hear in the background is... Or maybe you've just come to a cutscene in your game and want to be able to lower the music without alt-tabbing. Today we're going to take a look at how you can control the volume for different applications using a mobile device or tablet, similar to having a hardware mixer. The way this works is by using the device as a MIDI controller and mapping the sliders through to the inputs on Voicemeeter. If you're not familiar with Voicemeeter, I do have a video on how to set it up, which I'll link below or I'll put in a card, so you can check that out. And this method will work across either iOS or Android, so I'll show you how to set it up on both devices. Now, we'll start with setting this up on an iOS device. There are a couple apps that you can use on iOS that'll allow you to send the MIDI controls, but the one that we're going to be using is MIDI Controller Pro. You'll also need two applications running on the PC side in order to accept the inputs, that being Loop B1 and MCPW. I'll have links to those below. It should be noted that MCPW is designed to work with MIDI Controller Pro, so if you do use a different application, you might want to try setting it up using the RTP MIDI method that we use for Android that we'll discuss later. Download both of the programs and start up by running Loop B1. This is a virtual MIDI cable and it'll be used to pass the MIDI information between both programs. Next, you want to start up mcpw.exe. From here, you'll just want to make sure that the Loop B internal MIDI is set as the out driver, and you can leave the port number as standard. Then just hit start. You'll also need to go to the MIDI mapping options in Voicemeeter. Make sure that Loop B internal is set as your MIDI input device. Once all that is set up, go into the app and init connections, then add, and you'll want to select add Windows host. Enter the IP address for the machine that you're trying to connect to. If you don't know this, you can find it by running ipconfig in the command line, and the port that was selected in the app. This should be 8001 by default. For connection method, UDP is preferred. Once you've done that, go to Open Setup and pick from one of their free presets. Once that's all set up and connected to your PC, you should be receiving MIDI information from your device. The next step is to start mapping this to actions inside of Voicemeeter. To do this, we'll want to go to the MIDI mapping options. In order to affect the volume, you'll want to map the gain fader strip. The easiest way to do this is to hit Learn next to the strip that you want to map, and then simply start moving a slider on your device. Do this for all of the faders that you wish to map. You can also map other functions to the various sliders and buttons that you have available. For instance, I have this M key mapped to mute strip 1. You should now be able to see the gain fader be affected when you move the slider on the device. And that's it for the iOS setup. Before we move on to setting up Android, I just want to remind you to like and subscribe if you have found this video helpful. It's free and it helps the channel out immensely. Now for setting it up on Android, I'm going to be using my phone, but it'll work on Android tablet devices as well. As with iOS, there are a number of different apps that you can use to get this effect, but today we're going to be using one called TouchDoor. Make sure to download and install this on your device. Now we want to download and install RTP MIDI. Similar to MCPW above, this will allow us to send MIDI information to the computer from the device. The installation is fairly straightforward, however you will want to make sure to download and install Apple Bonjour if you don't have it already. Once this completes, restart if you're prompted to do so. To connect your device, start up RTP MIDI and hit the plus button under My Sessions. From here you'll be able to set a name and port number on the right hand side, but for the purposes of testing we're just going to leave these as default. Once you have this set up, make sure to tick the enabled box. At this point, the local MIDI port has been created and the service has been announced on the network. If you have the TouchDoor app running on your device, you should see two entries show up under the directory section in RTP MIDI. Select the first of those and click Connect below. From here, similar to how we did with the iOS setup, we need to go to MIDI mapping in Voicemeeter, This time you'll want to choose the name that you chose in RTP MIDI as your MIDI input device, and from there it's just a matter of using the learn function to map these as we did before. And that's just about it. Now you can control the audio for any application that you are managing through Voicemeeter independently on your device. If you're still not sure of how to set up Voicemeeter, as I said, I've got a video about that which I'll link below that you can check out. It's a very simple setup, but it's very handy to have. Once again, if you have found this video helpful, consider dropping a like and subscribing so you don't miss any future content, and I'll see you next time.